Welcome. Could you please tell me what's your name and why are you here?
Yeah. My name is Jan de Boer. I'm a partner at KPMG and I'm the global leader in health IT. I'm here because we are hosting this event, so we are very proud of doing that. And the reason for doing that is that we, as KPMG, we have quite large, I would say, a healthcare consulting practice and also a very large audit practice, and that is we're working in more than 160 countries, so across the world. And one of the reasons to organize this is that we see that in healthcare we need to make some kind of change, a behavioral change. We all talk about the costs are rising, the quality of people are getting older. We cannot afford it anymore, and the quality has to come up and the costs have to come down, and we have to keep healthcare accessible for, especially in the Netherlands, for the older people, but also for the next generation. And what we truly believe is that games and applying games can help with that. So to have a behavior change, how people maybe behave a little bit different, to be healthier, but also to help clinicians in the way that they can train their practices, and even maybe in future you can cure, for instance, Parkinson's disease with a game. That's the future. It probably will be there. So that's one reason. The other reason is that if you look at the game industry is a very, I would say, maturing industry. Some people will say an immature industry, but I say maturing industry. And we as KPMG, we are active in a very mature industry. So we have a history of more than 100 years as a trusted advisor, as a trusted auditor. And what we thought it would be good if, I would say, the traditional world and the maturing world will give a handshake with each other and to bring and to let what we say the games grow. And I think personally it's also very important for our and it's also very important for I think for the economy of the Netherlands. So we are in a decline, there is a crisis, and if you look when there's a sparkling point, that will be the game industry. So it's growing, and I think we have to support that, and also we as KPMG have to support the growth of the game industry.
Was this a difficult stance to convince people inside the KPMG?
No, absolutely not.
No? They fell for it immediately.
Yeah, the funny thing is when you get different reactions. The first reaction is we are going to organize Games for Health in our office. Then the first reaction is, wow, this is great. Everybody likes games. Yesterday I did a keynote speech, and I think there are some certainties in life. One is we all die, we all have to pay taxes, we all need healthcare, and the fourth is we all like to play. So if you tell that in this office, everyone is very pleased with that. Then the next question of people is okay, it's game, that means pleasure. So is this a real serious business? And what we're saying, my answer is always, it is pleasure, but it's transforming to purpose. And it means games are bigger than the person itself. So if you can cure someone with a game, or you can help people by playing games, then you get a transformation from pleasure to purpose. And then everyone understands. And then the last thing is that how do you organize that? How many people are coming there? So about 400 people. Oh, that's a lot. And how are we going to organize that? But that's the organizer. We can solve that. That's no problem.
Yeah.
So in the end, I didn't have to convince anyone, and that's also because we have we call it Extreme Digital XD program, and what we do with a lot of not only in healthcare but also with the corporate organization and with our government, is to educate what is possible with IT, what is possible with new technologies. And that's a program that is now running for about a year. And we do a lot of workshops with board members and how does IT change your life. And that's always fun in doing that. And that is more than games. There's also big data. That is also things is what can you do with new kind of technologies, with smart grids and those kind of new technology. How can it change your business? How can it change your company? And how to adopt those kind of technology. So that's what we do.
So would you say KPMG is as a company as a whole is very advanced in this?
If people are looking at KPMG, you see an audit and a consultants company, and I would say a very serious company. And that's also true. But it points out that we are a very trusted and I would say serious company. But we embrace this because we believe it's the real future. And if you see which companies are doing a good job and come out of this crisis in a good way, they adapt new technology, they adopt young people, they adopt, they go around, they travel the world. And that is what you see in this game industry. It's very alive, but then also it's also a little bit traditional. So we have a lot of small game companies with 7-8 people, and they are not growing. And if you want to build up a real serious industry, I think you have to have game studios with 100 or 400 people, and that we are creating as a I would say in the Netherlands, for instance, 20,000 new jobs for young people in the game industry. And I think we have to think like that and not...
you have to think big.
You have to think big, and also you have to think international. So if you are a traditional company and you have to export your products to another country, it's more difficult than you're building a game. It's what is more easy than export your product to a different country. It is software. You can play it everywhere you want. But still, the game industry isn't doing that. And that's not because they are not willing to do that. But if you are with 7 or 8 men or 20 persons, how do you do business in Singapore? How do you do business in the US? How do you
they
do
probably
business
know
in
how to build a game really well
Exactly.
and to
Exactly.
all the graphics really well and things like that. But they don't have really the business people who can sell it.
That's what we have. We have, for instance, an Indian desk. We have a desk in Brazil, in the US. So we can help the game industry, for instance, to go to India or to the US or to Germany. And that's our job. That's where we're very good in it.
When you look at the field of serious games, what are the major issues you notice?
Yesterday morning I have introduced a game maturity model, and what we're trying to do is that with that model we see it as a communication tool towards companies, also to assess your current situation and to build up your strategy when it comes to applying games in your organization. And one of the biggest issues is that if you are a board member, you don't know what a game is. So you have to explain what it is.
You probably know because your kids play
your
games.
Kids play it, but not in your company.
No.
So that's the first thing for the people who are at this summit. For them, it's very clear. But if I go to a client, for instance, a board member of a hospital, and I say, you can apply games. And he said, yeah, but it's for children. No, it's not for children. Let me show you something. And he said, wow, this is interesting. So that's the first thing what we have to do.
Yeah.
Just spread the word that the applied game industry is a very serious industry. You can do all kind of things. The second thing is, and then I come back to scale. So you can, I would say that our companies, our clients are not waiting for games. They're waiting for therapies. They're waiting for behavioral change in their organizations. And games can be one part of it in adapting those changes or to educate people in a different way. And that means that you need to have some scale, but also in a simple way, to have a bigger thought than just producing one game. It's part of the ecosystem.
It's part of a bigger picture.
Bigger picture.
Yeah.
And what I see is that the game industry, they've got difficulties to give the big picture.
Yeah, they just focus on.
They focus on gaming, and we as a company, we are losing in developing games. I mean, that's not our business. And that's I come back to the handshake. If you bring that together, I think we can make the look forward in doing that. And the third, I would say, is there's a lack of money in this. So what we're doing, KPMG is a member of the Growing Games. And Growing Games is an initiative of different companies, and also with our government and the province of Utrecht. And we're bringing together investors, companies like KPMG, TNO, DASIM as an investor, C Business as a health insurance provider, together. And how can we make a platform for growth where there is sufficient money to build, I would say, a bigger pane or a platform that you can use to basically let those games grow. And that is what we do.
Yeah.
So the funding part is very important.
Yeah. When you talk about money in the United States, it seems to be a hot issue. The serious games.
Yeah.
Investors over there seem to recognize the potential of this.
Yeah, and so my big warning is that so as everything in the US. So I travel quite a lot around and I work also in the US.
Yeah.
I think if you look at the people and how it's concentrated, and the way we're doing, on some parts we are ahead of the US. But if the US say, okay, this is serious business, then they go, and we lose that business. So there's a big risk in the Netherlands. So we have the infrastructure. So we have the people, we have the
Education.
we have, if you look at the internet, and I mean, everyone in the Netherlands got internet and broadband, and that's not the case in the US. We have basically all the ingredients to make this a success. But if you approach it like, okay, I'm just going to develop one game and I'm a game company with 6 or 7 and I don't want to grow, then we will lose it in a couple of years. And then we can have summits like this with only people from the US who are telling we have a big platform and there are 2 million patients who are playing with us. Instead of we in the Netherlands, we started this, and we that there are some people here in the audience who would say from, okay, this is the game what is developed in the Netherlands. We have adapted that and we have transformed it to the US, and there are 2 or 3 or 5 million US citizens who are playing with Dutch games.
Our games. Yeah.
So that would be, and that's not an unrealistic scenario.
No.
But it would be unrealistic if we would not take a next leap and take it to a next level.
So that's something you're busy with yourself to convince people and to tell them beware, get the money.
We've set up. We have, what I said before. We have an Indian desk, but we also set up a game desk. And with a game desk, and those maturing companies can come to KPMG, or we will come to those companies, and learn them the basic stuff. So how to run your company, how to do your administration, how to file in to the tax authorities, just normal stuff, what you can do. And for a lot of companies who are very creative, it is a burden for them to do that. And the second layer is to export it, to help, for instance, you have a very good game, how to export it to new countries, to make it bigger. And the last part of the game desk is how do we apply games as KPMG in our consulting propositions. So what we're doing quite a lot is, for instance, so compliance is a big issue when it comes for the big corporates, but also in healthcare. And we are advising companies how to be compliant. We also advise companies how to transform your organization with a new business model. But you can use games to really make that transformation alive. You can make the compliance that people are compliant is also a behavioral change by using games. So we will also use it as part of our consulting proposition.
So you can show what it really does, how it works.
And how it works.
Yeah.
And I would say if you are a consulting firm and you are not using game in your consulting proposition in a couple of years, I wouldn't say you will be out of business, but I would say then you have difficulties to do business. So it's also a self-interest of KPMG that we have to adopt those games in our own propositions to our clients.
What do you hope to get out of this conference? Are you okay by the fact that it's being held here, that there are 400 people, that they meet and greet, and well, that it's a good atmosphere, or do you want to get more out of it?
No, yeah, of course that's very important. and if I look around, I see only happy people, so I think that is a success, and that will be a success. And last year it was also a success. But I would say the handshake between traditional companies with the game industry, and that we are the maturity levels that we are rising at. And
so you bring people in from the outside?
Yeah, we bring in clients, and for a lot of them it's new, and they say, "Wow, I was not aware that. I think we have to do something with it." Now that's something, we have to make that alive. So that is one part. And the other part is that if you are a game designer and you walk around in this building and you see there are the big corporate companies, there are big healthcare institutions, and how can I contact those people and can we help each other? So the network is very important. So the most successful event that we are organizing is not that we are telling all kinds of things, but that people will meet each other and giving them a platform that things will go on, and then and I would say grow and scale is very important. And the last thing I would say that is especially something for healthcare is the validation part of those kind of games.
Yeah.
So
you have to prove somehow that it really works.
Yeah. And a lot of industries, then if a game or a product or whatever works, then people are convinced and then they adopt it. In healthcare, and also when you look at IT in healthcare, you always have to prove and to validate what is the patient outcome by applying this. And that's a very important part, especially for healthcare in doing that. So I'm very pleased also that we have I would say the medical tracks with the universities who are really collating data and show it to the people that there is real data behind it. It's just not an idea, but we can prove this. And we are not there, but that's also what I hope in this event that I would say the validation people meet with those industries and also have a handshake and to go forward.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.